Festival of Champions has a rich history and offers students a remarkable opportunity to perform in a top-notch venue. With the exception of only a few events, most high school marching band competitions are held at a high school facility. Everything from the difference in turf to the height of the press box makes Festival of Champions a highlight during regular season competition.
Festival Champions is our annual event that we host for high school bands. It's sanctioned by the Kentucky Music Educators. It's part of a series of contests across Kentucky.
I first came in 1985. David Wells was the marching band director at that time. We overlapped 1 year. David is the one who started Festival of Champions.
It's kind of special for me personally as well, because I actually marched in the very first Festival of Champions as a freshman in high school in 1976 in the Hopkinsville High School Band. So even back then it was really neat because we had inspections back then. So you had to come out on the concourse and stand at attention, and judges came by and they checked your instrument and you had to remember your serial number.
At that time, when I first came, it was not what we would call a sanctioned contest. Many of the universities were running their own types of contests, and there weren't any really defined regulations or sanctions from the Kentucky Music Educators Association. So one of the things that we tried to do was to work with that organization and when they began to sanction contests so that they could create their own state championship, we fell into that and worked with them in creating the rules and regulations. And since then we've had a very good relationship with them to keep that sanction and to work with them and make it an educational event.
When we're filling out our schedule every year, we find out when regionals are, state is, and Festival of Champions. And then we build the rest of the schedule around that. Festival of Champions has an incredible tradition of excellence as far as attracting excellent bands to also being able to provide a high-quality panel of adjudicators.
It at times has been one of the largest marching events in the country, very well respected.
We like to come up into Kentucky because the level of competition is a little bit tougher, and we just wanted to see this year how our group stacked up against some of the better bands that are up here.
The competition has always been very, very good. It was always one of the big highlights for me whenever I was in high school, and then obviously when I was at Murray State.
As a Murray State alum and as a 7-year Racer Band alum, it only made sense to bring my band to a contest that's been part of my personal history for so long.
I felt like this was one of those exceptional programs that we should probably be a part of.
When students arrive on campus, I think one of the most impressive things, and this happened to me when I first came to Murray too, you drive down 641 and you see that stadium, and it's sort of overwhelming.
Like at first you see the size of the stadium and you're a little bit just shocked, but then once you get out there, it's just so fulfilling.
It's like having a great audience. It kind of makes you kind of nervous, but it makes you proud at the same time to be able to do something so big and so wonderful.
Some of our seniors and veterans have played at Papa John Stadium in Louisville, and it was similar in that way. But for most of our younger members, they have never experienced anything like this.
Their eyes all got really big when they came into Roy Stewart Stadium, and it was just kind of special to see them, the awe of it.
The way it's designed with the audience on one side, it's just absolutely perfect for these contests.
I'm used to having an away side, and I was just facing all the cars and the traffic and stuff, and it was kind of normal, and I turned around to bow and there's just this massive line of bleachers, and it was kind of scary, but it was really fun.
It was quite amazing to look up and just see the entire grandstand and how big it was compared to the people on the field.
As a venue for marching arts, it is truly unique. It's arced toward the 50-yard line. There's this concave shape, and what happens with the sound is that the sound is focused toward the 50-yard line. And even the smallest band, I can hear every individual sound. It's a very open press box, and the acoustics of the venue are phenomenal.
It was very interesting to march in a stadium this big and having to do all the adjustments like where the hashes were.
We have taped down NCAA hash lines on our field for everyone to ignore. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, the hash marks are a pretty big deal because our stadium has college hash marks, so we have to put down high school hash marks, and we have to find a tape that actually will not hurt the turf. Yeah, if we get these things up it seems like that they do better, because if they bake in too long, we'll have trouble getting up these hash marks.
If we didn't tape it off, then it could be pretty catastrophic. You know, people would be running into each other, and it could just be a mess because it would expand and contract the drill that they're typically used to.
This is my first time ever marching on a university's field, so I was pretty excited about it.
Walking out on the field was a little intimidating at first. It's definitely a lot larger than our stadium. Having the box 200 feet higher than it normally is was definitely scary, but overall it was super exciting.
We've been to a lot of competitions, but none with a box this high.
This has really focused us a lot on our visual package and trying to adjust to some things to deal with this stadium with the height of the press box. So we've had to kind of rethink some of the things that we normally do and try to get those in line so we can compete at this level.
We don't have many stadiums like Roy Stewart, in the state, so it's a good place to play and perform.